Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take on this hump day. It's Wednesday. It's a shortened week. We all know that. And a lot of excitement, actually. When you look back to yesterday, a lot of excitement. We did have a market that suddenly decided to go up. We've been going down, 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 down. We've been getting pushed to the downside. We've cracked underneath that 30,000 level. We cracked underneath 11,000 for the NASDAQ. Well, we had a heck of a bounce yesterday. We were up over 700 points on the highs. And we actually finished the day up 640 points, so not too terribly far off of those highs. Same thing with the NASDAQ. NASDAQ had a nice run yesterday, finished up 270 points, and the S&P, of course, up nearly 90 points as well. So a really broad, nice, big move to the upside. Now, is that a head fake? Well, it certainly looked like that early on, but we'll get into that in just a second. So as we look, crude got absolutely smashed yesterday, actually finished the day right around 110. Now, we've been talking about some of this consolidation levels and that type of thing. Is this a little bit more than that? It kind of feels like it might be just a little bit more than that. We'll keep an eye, of course, on the unusual option activity in the energy space to see what is it saying to us now. We haven't seen a whole lot of activity yesterday, really, in the energy space. But I can tell you, after that move from 122, 123, and then kind of easing back 117s into the teens, then all the way down to 110, certainly a big drop, and that doesn't even include today. But again, we'll get into that in just a second. 2-year, right around 3.2. The 10-year yesterday, a little bit above 3.2. Kind of hanging around just a little bit, not a whole lot of movement. Now, we did have that follow-up over the weekend, though, of Bitcoin. And all of the different hammerings that it was getting into that 17,000, 18,000 level, actually back up and above 20,000. And that, I think, was something that also did kind of help out the markets just a little bit as well, just because that was getting hammered. It seemed like that was the catalyst for some of the selling that we were seeing as well. When that started to get wiped away, we started to be off to the races and we were shooting to the upside. Energy absolutely did explode yesterday, though, up about 5%. You look at some of those beta names like Diamondback and Pioneer and Phillips 66 and Schlumberger and Halliburton and ConocoPhillips, you get the idea. All of them very, very strong yesterday as we were watching energy absolutely lead the markets to the upside. Consumer discretionary, you're talking about Amazon and Tesla. Great day yesterday. That was up about 3%. Staples were up nearly 3% yesterday. Names like Procter & Gamble, Clorox, Colgate, those kind of names. Throwing a little Kimberly-Clark, all having a really, really nice day yesterday. Technology with Apple and Google and Microsoft. Couple of those names, though, that weren't on that list, that didn't look as good. You look over at Meta, you look over at Netflix, a little bit of a struggle yesterday while we were seeing the rest of these start to move to the upside. Financials up about 2% yesterday as well. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citi, you get the idea. Schwab, all having a very, very nice day. The worst performer of the sectors was materials yesterday. They were still up nearly 1.5%. That gives you an idea of just how powerful across everything this big move to the upside, and the trigger point literally was energy, though, with that 5% move to the upside. Names that also were working as well yesterday, names like Lucid, look over at Datadog, NVIDIA, AMD, the semiconductors having a pretty good day, Dollar Tree. United Health had an absolute rocket of a day yesterday. Throw in some Merck. But it wasn't all perfect yesterday. We talked about this yesterday morning, but DaVita, one of those names that really struggled. Meta definitely struggled. Netflix, which I mentioned, struggled relative to especially their peers. Then you look at names that are in the Chinese space as well, like JD and NetEase. They were to the downside. Throw in a little bit of Marriott hotels. Oh, by the way, really exciting. At the market close today, it's going to be Ryan Master and myself, and we're going to be talking about unusual option activity right at the market close. Should be pretty exciting. And we're going to be able to go through a lot of different triggers of what we've seen over the last week or so, what we saw yesterday, what we are seeing today as well. It's going to be great. And Ryan does an absolutely magnificent job. Look forward to joining up with him. That's at the market close. If you can't make it, sign up anyway. You've got to sign up in the first place, but if you can't make it, sign up anyway. We'll shoot that out to you later on at a different time. So that should be something that you're looking forward to like we are, because there's a lot to cover, and we, of course, know what's going on. Volatility's been kind of seeping down just a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'll hit that right away. Volatility was in the 31s this morning. We're already back down towards those 29s. Why is that? The market actually started off terrible this morning. We had the Dow down over 400 points. NASDAQ down nearly 200 points. Looking over at the S&P, it was down about 55 points. But as we've gotten a little bit deeper into this first hour of the day, we've been chopping wood, and you look over at the Dow, it's down 300, then it's down 250, then it's down 200, down 80, now up 70 or 80 points. A big, huge move. That's a massive move in a short period of time. NASDAQ, same path, just started ripping to the upside after being down 170 points. That was up 95 points last I looked, and we were seeing, of course, some movement in the S&P. It was down 55, then 35, then 20, then 10, then flat. Here we are taking off to the upside. I mentioned that volatility index. Keep an eye on the VXN as well. We've been talking about this as far as the NASDAQ and the volatility of the NASDAQ. Something I think is very, very important. We did breach over that 40 just a few days ago, but here we are once again. We find ourselves with the VXN right around 36. Always keeping an eye on that. Bitcoin holding above 20,000. The 2-year and the 10-year slipping back just a little bit more. That might be the trigger, right? We've been talking about when we see the 2 and 10 moving to the upside, seeing a lot of selling in the market. We see it pulling back. We see a little bit of the buying in the market. Somewhat of what we are seeing right now. I've been trying to point that out each and every time I'm on the halftime or the 5 o'clock show, the Fast Money show at CNBC, because a lot of people were thinking it was more tied to oil. Oil is a participant, but I'm telling you, these 2s and 10s are certainly a huge catalyst of the algos, and there's no doubt about it. We've been watching that happen over the last couple of weeks. Continues to be the case. That's why we're seeing this nice turn today as well. Energy started off getting hit pretty hard early on, down over 4%. It recovered down about 3%. I look over at materials, not a whole lot of a change, but got a little bit better. Industrials got a little bit better. A big flip, though, from the technology space. When you look at that sector, it was down well over 1%. We've reached flat, and I'm sure by now starting to move into the positive territory. Everything early was in the red. Everything. And that has completely flipped around in a big way across the board, just seeing everything either getting a little bit better or getting back into the green. So what are some of the names that are pushing today that are standouts right now? Lennar, definitely one of those names. That's a space that's been getting absolutely hammered. Everything in that housing space of late getting just absolutely beaten to the downside. That's having a pretty decent start to the day. Kraft Heinz with a decent start. Nvidia, now this one's pretty interesting because we were talking about this yesterday being one of the names that was getting hit really bad to the downside, and it was down over 10, 11% yesterday. A little bit of a bounce back. You tend to see that pretty frequently in this market. DocuSign looking pretty good early on. Lucid looking pretty solid. What's not looking great, at least early on, we talk about energy and some of the negativity, down about 3% after being down even worse. Those beta names, of course, that worked to the upside, they were getting beaten down to the downside early on. Names like Devon and ConocoPhillips and APA and Oxy and Chevron, all of those energy names getting hit, at least early on. Freeport-McMoRan getting hit. Copper itself getting hit a little bit today as well. NVIDIA, we were talking about this name for a while, looking to see. Yesterday had some pretty decent performance as well. Marvell, names like Lam Research, all in the positive. We talked about Marriott yesterday. Well, Marriott today in the negative, unfortunately for Marriott. Honeywell, throw in Dow, throw in Nike. A little bit of that pull that we are seeing a little bit to the downside early. A lot of that has flipped in this first hour. This is not a very bold move, but one of the headlines I saw today that I just had to point out, Citigroup says there's a 50% chance of a recession. Now, there are some people out there that already say we are in a recession. And this 50%, is this a coin flip or what are we talking about right now? Just an interesting thing I thought as we were getting into this today. I got 2 unusuals, then I'm out of here. Nothing on CNBC today, so I will be on tomorrow, but nothing on there today. But what do we got for unusual right now? LI, Lee Auto. We've been talking about EV space a lot. We've been talking about Lucid. We've been talking about Ford, of course, and all their movement along with GM. Tesla had that monster day yesterday. Started off with some huge call buying early on. That stock absolutely ripped to the upside yesterday. Well, we'll see if this one's got a shot as well. Trading around 36 bucks, but they're kind of coming after the 32 put. So is there going to be a pullback? Those are going for 16 cents up to about 28 cents. We'll keep an eye on that one. 7,000 of those bought. Are they just trying to buy a little protection, or what are they doing right now? That's something very, very interesting to look at, but we know how volatile that space can be as well. Snowflake is my number 2, trading just above $125 a share, way off of the highs, not too terribly far off of the lows, but it is off the lows and it kind of moving to the upside a little bit. 2,000 of the August 120 calls. Interesting because they're buying a little bit of time going out to August. And on top of that, they're also buying an in-the-money call. We're talking about a stock that's trading 125. They're buying the 120s. That's why you're seeing some pretty big premium. $17 worth of premium is what they were paying for those, as Snowflake was making a little bit of a move to the upside early on. Folks, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you definitely want to get some knowledge about it, the derivatives world, whether it's online, whether it's our books, whatever you want, education here, Market Rebellion. These guys do an absolutely phenomenal job. But the derivatives market is certainly the place to be and a place that you're going to want to know how to use a lot of the calls, the puts, and everything, all the different types of things that you can do with those as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.